This week at the NFL owners meetings, Cleveland Browns owners dissed their current quarterback Deshaun Watson, saying it was a mistake to trade for him back in 2022 and giving him that big contract, which, hindsight 2020, was a huge mistake. So that leaves the question of what the team will do at the quarterback position moving forward, with Deshaun Watson likely to miss the 2025 season after tearing his Achilles again. We're talking about the Browns dissing their quarterback and their quarterback situation in today's video. Before I continue though, I'd appreciate it if you would take 5 seconds to subscribe to my channel. We're trying to hit 10K this year, and 72% of you who watch these videos aren't subscribed. So double check, it's free and it helps me and the channel grow a lot. And one last final thing, from April 1st to April 10th, I'm going to be gone. So if I say anything in this video that's outdated, or if I'm missing any important information, that's why. Deshaun Watson has been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL since being traded to the Cleveland Browns from the Houston Texans back in the offseason going into 2022. It's been a known issue around the league and the fans and from a reporter's perspective that this dude has simply not been good. But sometimes when teams make a mistake, like signing a player or trading for a player, they won't admit it and they'll just try to act like everything is okay and try to find their way out of it. But just this week, the Browns ownership at the NFL owners meetings admitted their mistake in trading for Deshaun Watson. Browns owner Jimmy Haslam on the team's trade for Deshaun Watson: "We took a big swing and a miss with Deshaun. We thought we had the quarterback. We didn't, and we gave up a lot of draft picks to get him. So we've got to dig ourselves out of that hole." The trade, aka the hole, was an entire organization decision, and it ends with D&I. I believe that is the owner's wife, so hold us accountable. Now this is pretty crazy. Very rarely, if ever, do you see ownership and front offices admit a mistake about signing or trading for a player when that player is currently still on the roster. But these are circumstances that I think it is okay to say that, because it really has not worked out for the Browns and Deshaun Watson. But I'll say this though, credit to the owners for taking accountability for this mistake and trading for Deshaun Watson and not trying to act like everything is okay, because the Browns have been set back significantly because of this trade. They've lost a lot of draft capital, they've lost a lot of money in free agency, they haven't been able to sign players. This trade has set their franchise back more so than it already was set back. When the trade first took place, it made a lot of sense to be excited if you are a Browns fan. Obviously, I don't want to ignore the off-the-field stuff. I'm not going to get into it. But just on the field, when he was on the Texans, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, which is why him being traded was such a big deal. And that's why so many teams were so involved in trying to get Deshaun Watson, like the Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers, and of course the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson sat out the whole 2021 season seeking a trade out of the Houston Texans because he felt like his prime was being wasted there. But in 2020, he was obviously one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, just on a terrible situation. And then ultimately, Deshaun Watson was traded to the Cleveland Browns in the 2022 offseason, and this is the haul that the Texans received. They got a first-round pick. They got 3 first-round picks, which became guard Kenyon Green, which hasn't worked out, Will Anderson, which worked out great, and they traded back with Minnesota to get this first-round pick, which ended up being Kamari Lassiter and Jamal Hill. They got Caden Bullock out of it. They got Tank Dell, Damian Pierce. They got quite a bit of good players here. They got a really good defensive end edge rusher and Will Anderson, all for Deshaun Watson, in a 6th-round pick that ended up being Jerry Jeudy. So the Browns gave up 3 first-round picks, a 2 4th-round picks, and a 3rd-round pick for Deshaun Watson, and a 6th-round pick, which ended up being Jerry Jeudy, who honestly is the best player that the Browns received in that trade. Now, on top of giving up all of that draft capital and those assets to get their quarterback, who they believed was going to change their franchise, they also gave him a huge, massive contract, the first fully guaranteed contract in NFL history. After being traded to the Browns, he got a fully guaranteed 5-year, $230 million contract. That is $80 million more than the previous record for fully guaranteed money, signing with $150 million at the time. It's probably changed since then with all the new league contracts and the market and such. But man, to give up 3 first-round picks, 2 fourths, and a third, to pay him $230 million fully guaranteed, and to get basically nothing out of it is just such a waste of time, resources, and energy. And it makes sense why the Browns front office and ownership felt the need to make those comments, saying they had a huge swing and a miss on Deshaun Watson. Since trading for Deshaun Watson, he's only started 19 games for the Browns in 3 seasons due to injuries and his suspension. And in those 19 games, he's had the lowest NFL quarterback passer rating league-wide. Now, the Browns have made the playoffs with Deshaun Watson as the quarterback. He just wasn't playing. It was actually Joe Flacco who led the Browns to the playoffs in 2023. They've had more success without Deshaun Watson playing quarterback when he's on the team than when he's on the field. Deshaun Watson had a season-ending injury in 2023 with the shoulder injury. He tore his Achilles mid-season in 2024, and fans cheered as he was carted off the field. It seems like they were fed up with Deshaun Watson and his poor play on the field. And in the offseason, during his recovery coming off the torn Achilles, he tore his Achilles again. So it's more likely than not he will not be available in 2025. This has simply just not worked out for Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Possibly some karma for some of the off-the-field stuff. This is not a situation where the team can just cut Deshaun Watson either due to his contract and the dead money cap hit. He's due $46 million over the next 2 seasons, and the dead cap hit is just too big for the Browns to take on right now. So it's more likely he's on the team this season on injured reserve, and the Browns waited out on his contract until 2026, and that's when they will move on. And based off the Browns ownership comments, while Deshaun Watson is on the team, they're moving on from Deshaun Watson. It's just that they're simply stuck with him on the roster for another season or so. So with Deshaun Watson's future with the Browns likely coming closer to an end day by day, and with him out for the 2025 season most likely, what did they do at the quarterback position? Right now, the only quarterback they have on roster is Kenny Pickett, who they traded for in March. They traded with the Eagles for quarterback Kenny Pickett to the Browns for quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson and a 5th-round pick for Adam Schefter. And as of right now, to my knowledge, the Browns only got 2 quarterbacks on roster, Deshaun Watson and Kenny Pickett. So right now, Kenny Pickett is the starting quarterback, which I don't think is something that, if you're a Browns fan, you want to see. He's maybe the guy who helps you get the number 1 overall pick, but I don't think he's going to be a guy who helps your team win games. And given what the Browns are doing and trying to do, it seems like they want to win games and not just continue to rebuild. And Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski said Kenny Pickett's a guy he believes in and that they believe in as an organization. Well, they also believed in Deshaun Watson, so I don't know. Maybe you can believe in him until you get, a different guy in the building. I don't really know what else they would have said here other than this. Obviously, they believe in him because they traded for him, but he cannot be your plan A as your starting quarterback. The Browns also let Jameis Winston walk in free agency, who signed with the New York Giants on a 2-year deal worth $8 million with up to $16 million on that contract. The team also met with free agent quarterback Russell Wilson, but he ended up going to the New York Giants as well, signing a 1-year deal up to $21 million. So the Browns lost out on 2 possible free agent quarterbacks that they could have had in their building, leaving them with Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson. Now, later on this month is the NFL draft, and the Browns currently have the 2nd overall pick. Now, there could be an opportunity for them to trade up to the number 1 overall pick with the Tennessee Titans to select Cam Ward. But I don't see that being the possibility. The Titans are open to everything with that pick and trading back, but it makes more sense for them to take Cam Ward than it does for them to trade back. But we'll see. Anything can change. But if they do have to stay at the 2nd overall pick, that leaves a huge question of, will the Browns draft Shedeur Sanders? Because this is a weak quarterback draft class, and there's really only 2 mainstream guys who a lot of people have penciled in going in the 1st round, and that is Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. The Browns ownership had this to say about the quarterback position: it would be great if we could get the quarterback, I'm assuming through the draft, but we're not going to force it. Basically, they want to take a QB, but they're not going to want to reach for a guy who they don't feel that greatly about or don't feel is worth the second overall pick. Quarterback is definitely a need for the Browns, but is it worth taking Shedeur Sanders over guys like Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, who you could team up with Myles Garrett, who are much better prospects and players coming into the NFL? But quarterback is just such a big need and so important. Do you just take Shedeur Sanders at the second pick? Earlier this offseason, their star defensive end Myles Garrett requested a trade because he wanted to go to a team where he could win games, win Super Bowls. Ultimately, he ended up re-signing with the Cleveland Browns once he saw that he could make $40 million a year fully guaranteed and got a huge contract extension. But he did say some interesting stuff about the Browns playing at quarterback. Any team that's going far needs a QB, and one that's young, can learn, and is willing to be patient with the process. He had some other interesting comments about the quarterback position. Maybe he knows something. Maybe the Browns told him that they were going to draft Shedeur Sanders, and he was on board with that, and he felt like that was the right move for the team moving forward. Regardless of how they do it, the Browns have to address their quarterback position, and it makes sense for them to take Shedeur Sanders at the second overall pick, in my opinion, because right now all they got is Kenny Pickett. Aaron Rodgers is likely going to the Steelers, and outside of him, there is no big free agent quarterback name who could come in and actually be impactful. So from here, it looks like Deshaun Watson's time in Cleveland could be over, even though he still has time left on his contract. The Browns are fed up with him, the fans are fed up with him, and ownership owned up to their mistake in trading for him, as he isn't someone the team no longer believes in. Let me know down in the comments what you think the Browns should do at the quarterback position. Should they draft Shedeur, ride it out with Kenny Pickett, and go for Arch Manning next season? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you next time. Have a good one. Peace.